So we were talking a little bit earlier. I thought it was interesting because I built this place with the whole idea of expansion in mind. I'd gone through a creative evolution myself, and all my coaching is around expansion. And you just said we met during the pandemic, and we've just spent an amazing weekend together with some friends. And you were saying you found this weekend expansive. I thought it was interesting you used that word. So tell me what you meant by that and what expansion really means for you.
Yeah, so I felt like just being here and connected to the beauty of the nature around here, the trees and the different colors, and being able to see the lake and even different colors in the sky. So that nature is really opening for me. I love to be in nature. I love to smell it and see it and touch it. And then also, though, being surrounded by the beauty of your art here and seeing your work and the work that you have done by other artists really inspired me to think about, well, you know, I feel like there's something inside of me that wants to come out in an artistic way. Because for me, the way I express myself is always through talking and speaking and presenting at workshops. And that always feels like it's for others. And even though there's a part of it definitely that's for me, but it never really feels like it's necessarily satisfying something inside of me, except for the part that I love, that is creating the PowerPoints and getting into Canva and doing all of that stuff. But then here, being surrounded by this beautiful place and the nature and your paintings has made me think, well, maybe I should be looking at things that are more inward and reflective in order to expand. And I think that's what helps me expand.
Yeah, I love the way that you put that, because for me, you know, when I was landing on the different words that described my experience, I knew creativity was in it, but I kept searching for the word, and it was a long time before I realized it was expansion. And you're kind of linking expansion to be this sense of it being not for everybody else, but for you, it's a feeling inside you. It's a yearning. And over time, I've started to link like the sense of expansion with a sense of wholeness. It's almost like we've got this. I'm all about circles. It's like we've got this circle of light inside us, and it's nudging us to do things that make it expand.
Yeah, and you know, in the work that I do with my students, I talk about Maslow a lot, and that sort of hierarchy of needs, and the top of the pyramid is that self-actualization, and under that pyramid is or under that part is really about self-actualization and how that's something that we all strive for. And I feel like that's something I do all the time, is I'm always striving, I'm always looking for something. And when I say striving, because striving can be a bad thing too, right? It can be us constantly striving to find the answer to make us whole, but that's not what I mean by striving. I mean it more in the sense of I'm always striving to make myself better, to look at ways and things that can kind of complete me, if you will. And it's just interesting how the creative side is such a draw for me, and I know it's a draw for you too. And how we express ourselves, you know, I sort of sometimes feel like I just have so much more that I can do, and you know, there has to be a limit on it, obviously. I certainly don't want to burn myself out, but I'm really inspired by this place. And really inspired to go home and just look at different ways of expressing myself. And
one of the things I loved the most that you said during the weekend is you're looking at my art and some of the other artists in my house and stuff like that. What actually made me feel really good was you said, oh, this makes me wonder if there's something I could create. Because that's really my goal in life, is to, because for me, I went through, I think we were talking about it earlier today, but I had spent decades in my life thinking I wasn't creative, denying that to myself. And now as a coach, I talk to so many people who have had that experience of denying that experience of creativity to themselves. And I believe that we're all deeply creative. I don't believe that in the world there are people that are creative and people who are not creative.
Right.
And so when I hear you talking about you could create beautiful things in your home, I'm going, oh, yes, absolutely you can. So it makes me want to cheer. Like, that's really, like, I love expanding myself through my art. But what I really love is being with people who step into their own expansiveness. And, you know, it's within all of us.
Yeah.
It's within all of us. So.
And, you know, it makes me think about, so we're talking about art in this case. Like, I've sort of been thinking, oh, maybe I could pick up a paintbrush, or I could take more photographs, or things like that. But it also, when you were talking just now, really made me think about, not only have we had a great weekend being immersed in the beauty of nature, but the immersion in the stories that we've told this weekend, because that's also, for me, creative. And that's one of my kind of missions in life, is to give people permission to tell their stories. And we've talked about being authentic, and so being real about the stories that you're telling, because my story can inform your story and somebody else's story, and vice versa. And I think, and you've talked a little bit about this weekend, is how your experiences are influencing your art. Like, I loved when you talked about the sky and the beach, or the sky and the land coming together, and how that's kind of metaphorical for you. And I guess, you know, for me, it's not only about telling stories, but writing stories. And now I'm hoping it'll be about painting or photography or something like that.
I think life is just a continual creative exploration. Like, it's kind of like when you release it, then it comes out in all forms. And one of the things I love about this place, and you commented on it earlier, is I think for so many of us, nature, it's like, you think about what is nature? It's like this massive creative act. So when I'm walking through the fields here, like, I've fallen in love with weeds that grow these beautiful flowers that are just mesmerizing when you look at them. And I think when you look at that creativity, that natural creativity, it inspires the creativity within us. And it's that desire to express ourselves in all forms and create more, so we can create and experience through stories, or through painting, or like even creating your life. Like, life is one big creative act.
Right.
So it kind of feeds on itself.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we go back to the whole feeling of expansion, right?